Down the back straightaway. 4 turns, separating Mark Pavidis. 4 seconds to go. 2, 1. Finish him up. Here he comes, number 1, Mark Pavidis.
Richard Jackson on his final lap around the racetrack. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. 5, finishes the 3 truck, continuing number 7, finishes 12, finishes the 6, finishes the 5. Finishes the 4 in the run, they cross the line together.
Awesome. It worked out, didn't it?
The RC10GT was one of our most successful platforms ever. It's won every national championship it was ever in.
Yeah, I mean, the racing results for our team racing the GT were just phenomenal, almost unbelievable. We never lost a national championship.
The truck maintained its undefeated streak in the Roar Nationals. So they had the 10 scale gas truck Roar Nationals, and the truck was undefeated.
Battle for second place as they hit the purple. Second, third, and fourth place. Looks like he gets in second. The third truck in third, Mark Francis. The fourth place, number 5 truck of Billy Houston. The road blanket over my back.
Team Associated had already had 20 years of racing experience on gas racing vehicles, so 8 scale on-road was really a big class for them.
Well, a lot of Associated's heritage comes from nitro, fuel-powered on-road racing and so forth, and obviously off-road came later. Gene and Curtis were nitro engine guys, and so there was always an interest to get nitro back into off-road.
Because we were into gas on-road anyways, and it's just something most of us were all gas guys anyways, with my dad, Roger, myself, and Cliff and other guys. So it was obvious to move into a gas truck, just right in your face that it was really fun and just needed to do it.
The beginning of the RC10GT kind of started with a guy out there in the racing industry that used a lot of Associated's parts from the RC10T and built a gas truck. And I think his name was Cuneo Dungeon. And he sold a conversion kit that took a lot of Associated parts. You had to make some parts, you had to buy some parts here and there and so forth and piece this thing together. And that's kind of how the class started.
9, where's that traffic? 9 move aside, let them have it.
Racing was already going, and we knew, everybody here knew, we had to make a gas truck. We already had a truck, electric truck, so why not make a gas truck? And that's where the project started, and it was one of the most complex things I've worked on here, on solving all those needs to actually have a 10 scale gas truck.
The project took probably about a year to a year and a half. The RC10T came out. We're running it for about a year, and that's about when we saw somebody else messing around with putting a gas truck motor in it or putting a gas engine in it. And we knew this was the direction we had to go, and it takes about a year and a half to get this thing done to production at that time.
Wow, issues with the GT project. That's a long list, so I'll try and narrow it down a bit, but trying to get enough rear grip on a truck to make a racing kit where you could actually go out and race it and tune it, use as many parts that already existed as we could, so we weren't making a lot of molds. But when it really came down to some of the major hurdles, I would say probably one of the biggest was the fuel tank.
There was a lot of hurdles in making the tank, and we hadn't made a tank before. The tanks we used before for our 8 scale cars we actually got from Delta Manufacturing. They made our tanks for us, so this was probably the first tank that we made on our own.
And I think we went through a few iterations before we got that right, before it was really proper for the truck, proper size to be legal, and would run long enough if your truck tipped over and ran upside down, so a turn marshal would get to it. And And I think, you know, getting that molded and doing the sonic welding to piece it together was really our first attempt at doing that sort of a product. So that was a big hurdle, the fuel tank. I think racing the RC10GT made better drivers for our entire team. It just showed them a completely different form of racing that required patience and tuning ability, and help them in their other classes of racing too.
We had different drivers throughout the years do well with it, with Richard Saxton being the king of gas truck.
Jared Tebow and Richard Saxton were the two guys that were atop of the podium most of the time.
Brian Kinwald of racing, Billy Easton.
And you know, Mark Pavidis won a share, I won a few.
The biggest events that I won with the gas truck, with the GT, was winning back-to-back titles with it was the Norco World Cup, and that was at the Ranch Pit Shop, which was pretty cool.
All these guys had success with the car and winning at different various national events or truck races, or even A-scale events where they had truck and gas. The car just dominated. It was fun and easy to drive. Very, very durable. We rarely broke during a race. And the main thing was just tuning the motors, getting them set right to drive for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Associate's been doing by releasing some of the nostalgic vehicles, because the people like us in, you know, the over 40 scene, we'll call them, this is what the vehicles that we grew up racing with, you know, and it brings back a lot of memories.
I'm hoping that there'll be a resurgence in the class, and that it can make a comeback with possibly tracks, you know, catering, 10 scale tracks catering towards some gas racing and kind of bringing in, you know, the accessibility of gas, whether it's outdoor or indoor, however that's going to work out. But now that we're releasing the truck, the possibilities are there.
I know a lot of people have asked for to bring back this class. One thing that this class brings back, it's economical to race, right? You don't need all the tires. You don't need a very expensive engine. You don't need a lot of stuff that an 8-scale buggy requires, right? It doesn't require, you know, all the maintenance. You only have one diff. You know, you're not taking care of all these different parts that a bigger car has, you know. That's why this class brought a lot of new people into the market, you know, into the nitro scene, which was really cool. And I think it could do well again, you know, with how popular the nitro scene is right now. To introduce this, it might gain some more interest and bring in a whole new market, that some of these guys that have been looking at this category like, oh, maybe I can't afford this big 8-scale car, but I can afford this, you know. And that might be appealing.
Now that we've given you all this information about your RC10GT, we hope you have a lot of fun with it, a lot of safe fun, and are very successful in your racing if you're going to race it. We've had a lot of fun designing it and working with it through the entire process, and we know we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.